The Girl Who Escaped, the Cara Robinson story, is generally a good film, but there's one aspect of it that I don't think was done very well, but it's kind of a spoiler, so I'll leave that for the very end. But in general, I do recommend it. This was released in 2023. It's directed by Simone, written by Haley Harris, and we have a cast including Katie Douglas, Kristian, Bruun, Erik, Athavale, and various others. And this is based on the true story of Cara Robinson, who was kidnapped and, as the title suggests, escaped. Now, how did she do this? I didn't know going into it. I think I vaguely recognized the name, but I don't remember ever reading or watching anything about it in any detail. So I went into this with basically no knowledge, and I was keen to see how things would unfold. The big question is, how could she escape? And I don't think that part of it was well handled. I don't know how accurate it is. That's certainly worth bearing in mind. But I will elaborate on that at the end with a spoiler warning. I will explain what happens, and it's only fair that I kind of explain if I'm going to criticize it. Because the rest of the film, I just don't think it played out very well. The main issue is with the pacing, but I'll expand on that in a little bit. The performances are brilliant. I don't know how accurate this portrayal of Cara Robinson is to the true character or the true individual, but certainly as a character, it was easy to want the best for her, to hope she escaped, to hope she got justice. And again, with that part of the narrative, I had no idea what was going to happen. It was interesting to see that playing out, and I had quite a strong emotional response to that part of the film. So it did make me feel a lot. It made me question a lot of characters, certainly one character in particular, and why they would do certain things. So I had a strong response to this. And in general, when it comes to films based on true crime, that is what I want. I want to feel a lot. I want to ask a lot of questions, not in terms of needing answers, but in terms of how can somebody do this? And that part of it I thought was very well executed. It made me think a lot and ask a lot, and that's certainly what I enjoy. Visually, it's very well done. We have some fine camera work, lighting, the sound, music, everything is absolutely fine. The performances are very strong. The main issue I have is with the pacing, and I will now explain what I mean by this and go into a bit more detail. So I'm going to be saying exactly what happens. So I'll say first of all, if you're interested in it, give the film a watch. I think you'll find it to be quite a fascinating experience. And if you know how it compares to the real case, please feel free to share some of that information. I did a little bit of reading about it afterwards, but nothing in any great detail. So definitely check it out if you're curious. But I will now spoil what happens, because for me, it kind of not necessarily ruined the experience, but it kind of became flat quite quickly. So this is a big spoiler. Initially, the pacing is great. Cara is kidnapped within 5 minutes of the film. Very, very quickly. But then she escapes after 35 minutes. And the film is an hour and a half. I did not expect her to escape with almost an hour left of the film. And she spends so little time with her captor. And she's there for, I think in the film she said 18 hours. I don't know if that's true to the real story, but I'm assuming it was roughly within a period of 24 hours. And she's there for, well, as I said, about 35 minutes. And we don't really get to see much of her struggle or much of what she's put through. And not that I'm saying I hope that she went through a lot so we could then watch it for entertainment. That's ridiculous. But obviously, if you're trying to give us a strong emotional response, we need to see the horrible experience so we can then feel so relieved and overjoyed when she's released, and then to have that strong need for justice, because the rest of the film is about wondering if she'll get justice, and for about an hour, hardly anything happens. And I do think we needed that part of the film, but they could have wrapped up what happened in the rest of the film within about, I'd say, 20-30 minutes. So the pacing of the actual kidnapping is really poorly done. I was really surprised that she escaped within 35 minutes. And I'd imagine, like myself, most people are watching this based on the title, thinking, well, how could she have escaped? Now, the escape itself is very brief. It's very quick how it happens, which I'm glad. I'm really glad if that's the true story. That's obviously, quite satisfying to watch, to know that she suddenly realised she had a chance and she went for it. But leading up to that, just nothing happens. So I don't think it was very well executed. I think we needed to spend a lot more time with Cara and to have that emotional response to the suffering, to the kidnapping. I don't think they needed almost an hour to flesh out the rest of the film. So the pacing's really terrible, and I was really, really disappointed by that. So I think it was very poorly handled. Even if she was only there for 18 hours, which is still an incredible amount of time when someone kidnaps you, I don't know if one would argue, well, she was there for less than a day, what could you really show? But they could have done so much with the character, even if the events themselves were basically just Cara being forced to sit there and be quiet and not move. They could have done so much more with the character. They could have done so much more to make us feel what she was feeling. And I just don't think they delivered. It's not that there's no emotional response, but it felt very, very rushed. And the rest of the film is not strong enough to last almost an hour. But I still recommend it. I still think because it's based on truth, it is worth watching. Were it not based on truth, I'd probably say no, it's not worth watching because it's not that strong. But knowing that it's a true story makes it all the more emotional. So I do recommend it, but there is significant room for improvement. I don't think they handled the pacing well at all. But I still thought it was fascinating because it's based on truth. And because of that, if you're curious, I do recommend it.